As Universal Studios Hollywood gears up for a 60th anniversary Glam Tram tour, a tragic accident injures 15 guests. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place. Here with me, as usual, is my Wookiee co-pilot, Mr. Vash Sky. But also joining us is a hooded figure from the Tatooine Wastes, a theme park wizard. How's it going, wizard?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me on this fine Monday morning.
So good to have you here. You were already scheduled to be on the channel at this time, but then we have Universal to talk about. Now, that being said, we've got a few videos we're going to cover here. I'm not necessarily excited to talk about a tram crash, and it sounds like everyone's treated for minor injuries, so not trying to clickbait anybody here. We are going to talk about it, though, because this is something that should not have happened, but it did happen. And it's worth covering it in the theme park space here. Forgive me for all that disclaimer at the beginning. We don't want to be ghoulish and try to savor someone being injured here. So let's get to the LA Times article, and then we'll expand from there, because I'm hearing that there might be some other sources that describe this a little bit more accurately with a little bit more detail so we can understand what's going on. This out of the LA Times: Universal Studio tram crashes, injuring 15 riders. As you can see here, we have these connectors between each one of these. It looks like they can fit several dozen people into each one of these trams. They're connected like a train, but with no track here. This was published on the 20th and updated the 21st. So Rebecca Miller was prepared for a Killer Shark, King Kong, and other make-believe frights when she joined the Universal Studios Hollywood backlot tour Saturday evening with her family. And what she wasn't expecting was the intrusion of some real-life drama. Miller, her husband, and 2 children got on one of the park's last trams of the night and were behind a 4-car tram that crashed and injured 15 people who were taken to hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries, authorities said. Her family's tram, which boarded close to 8:30 p.m., had passed the King Kong and T-Rex attraction and had just made it to a display of famous movie vehicles when it suddenly stops. We were like, okay, maybe they're having technical difficulties, recalled Miller of Victorville. And as it went on, I was like, this is a little odd. Then the radio started getting messages, and we noticed a whole change in their demeanor. Los Angeles County Fire Department received an emergency call from the park shortly after 9 p.m. and responded to the scene. Last car on the tram ahead of Miller's struck a rail when it was traveling down a hill near a parking structure. There was some type of issue with the brakes. We don't exactly know what yet. Guys, I have never been on this attraction. I've never been to Universal Studios Hollywood. Is there more context that you can add here? Is it clear to you what's happened here and where they were in the tour?
Yes.
This is. Please, Wizard.
Yeah, it sure was. So when you get on the tour, there's the King Kong, then you go through the picture car and Jurassic Park section, then you head towards the flash flood area. During that flash flood area, there's kind of one of the sharper turns of the tour. It's a downhill sharp turn. Some of the drivers make it kind of thrilling and cool because it kind of gains some speed there, and I'm like put my hands up. It's not like too fast, but it's fast for the other parts, but maybe 5 miles per hour or something. But I can see how there is a railing there. So if the brakes fail, certainly I can totally see how it may have crashed. But that particular tram was the Glamour tram. Now there's only 7 of those. Those are the last remaining diesel trams. They're a bit older trams. Those were going to be rumored to be retired at the end of the celebration in August anyway. So I have a feeling maybe that since that was one of the older trams, maybe that's why it's having a issue. And I feel like it maybe just be retired anyway because it's supposed to go in August anyway.
I do have a question about that. So as far as the Glamour trams go, we've talked about it a little bit on the channel. I will say we do try to cover multiple theme parks here. People really like it when we talk Disney, so we generally get more views on Disney. But for those who might be tuning into this and not understand what the Glamour trams, I like calling them glam trams. Could you explain what that is for people who don't know?
Oh, yes. So the Glamour tram was the first tram that Universal had when they did their tour way back in 1964 when they used the trams. And this year's their 60th anniversary, so they addressed about 7 of their last remaining diesel. They have electric trams right now, like 14 of them are like electric trams. They have like 22 total trams, and then or 21, and then there's 7 of trams, the last diesel trams that are dressed up in a glamour tram wrap, so the red and white, to make it look throwback to 1964. And that was one of these trams that had the minor incident there. Yeah, it looks just like that. And the rumor has it that at the end of the celebration, these last diesel trams, which are dressed as diesel glamour trams, will be retired and be replaced with the electric trams to be so that we'll have a fully electric fleet by the end of this year.
Well, they look neat, and it's a good nostalgia throwback. Right now, Disney struggles a little bit with their nostalgia. I think they kind of want to have their cake and eat it too, modernizing everything, but also they want to call back, but not call back too much here. And I think Universal Studios has a neat event on their hand. I hope that this doesn't end up casting a shadow over that. Now, Vash, I think you've got an article with a bit more detail than we've already covered so far. So take it away.
Yes, a Saturday night tram collision. This is via CNN, interestingly enough, and you can see some photos of some of the aftermath of this incident. Interestingly enough, it's on the other side of Amityville, it looks like. So to Ethan's point, absolutely correct. A Saturday night tram collision at Universal Studios Hollywood that left more than a dozen people injured during a tour occurred when the last car of the backlot tram crashed into a metal guardrail as the driver negotiated a turn, California authorities said Sunday. The impact caused the vehicle to tilt and eject multiple passengers, the California Highway Patrol said in a Sunday news release. 15 passengers were taken to the hospital for treatment with injuries described as mild to moderate, the California Highway Patrol said. The crash occurred at around 9:05 p.m. PT as the tram drivers was also making a turn to head north on Avenue M on the studio lot, according to the Highway Patrol. So if people are familiar with how these trams are actually set up, you might see one vehicle here, but it's actually multiple vehicles in a row that are all kind of chained together there. And so, when you're negotiating a turn, you don't have to just account for the lead vehicle, but also the 4 or 5 that actually follow this lead vehicle right here. So it's quite a bit. I can see how this can actually take place, but this is definitely one of the more serious incidents that I've seen involved here. And these things aren't just plaguing the gas-powered, soon-to-be retired trams, but also too, you can see right here, this is an electric vehicle.
Oh no! Is that thing about to get ripped off?
Yes, it looks like the doors to the earthquake closed on this particular vehicle as it was making its way through. It looks like Ethan, is that correct?
Yeah. So for the division of earthquake, it was under a 1.5 year long refurbishment, so it's still in that technical rehearsal phase. In fact, when I took my past member preview, we went on through the earthquake segment. We had to go through it twice because. And I was actually sitting in the first row, so I was able to see everything. But the team member, or it seems like a lead team member, was brought in via golf cart because the doors to earthquake didn't seem to be opening or something from the tram driver. Because what they do is they have this red button they press to open the doors when they approach the show buildings, and it wasn't working. So they brought in this lead team member, and then the doors opened when we got in, and then we drove right through because then I guess the whole attraction wasn't working. So they drove it again. And then it worked perfectly. So it seems the earthquake, in a soft reopening period, being down for a 1.5 years, seems to have a little bit of a tech problem as they time to get all get all kinks out. Yeah. So in that particular case, the tram was going in, but as normal, but the doors were closing a little bit too early and snipped the mirror there for the electric tram.
Now, something interesting here. First of all, this is like a 45 to 60 minute attraction, so this is a very long attraction here, and you have a live driver So this is not guided by pucks like in the ground, like Rise of the Resistance. So you have a long attraction. So the longer the attraction, with more of a human element, so there's more possibility for things going wrong. That's neither good nor bad. You obviously have to train your people. It sounds like maybe the diesel ones were the diesel ones out of commission for a long time and recently brought back, or were they just in continuous use and now they're about to be retired?
Continuous use, but replaced slowly by the electric ones. Electric,
Okay.
they brought in like one electric one every like couple of months or so, and then
Now
this is like the final push.
The thing that I notice here is that the CNN article differs a little bit from the LA Times. The LA Times article seemed to indicate 8:30 is when the incident happened, and then 9 o'clock was when authorities were called. Whereas the CNN article points out that 9:05 is when the incident actually happened. Now there could be some leeway there for them trying to figure out what happened before calling the police. And things move pretty fast when you're trying to take care of injured guests. I'm not trying to say that anyone is wrong or anyone is right, but I do notice the different times here. Also, in the fog of something happening quickly, there were reports getting out that someone was critically injured, which is, of course, tragic and horrible. We haven't had a lot of reports of critical injuries at any theme park, but obviously there was an incident at Disneyland not long ago where one of those huge lighting stanchions fell on a guest. Well, I guess Vash, you and I are thinking about the same incident here. I'm not trying to say Disneyland hurt somebody and Universal didn't, so it's okay or anything like that. But I look at this. One, I'm glad that no one was seriously hurt here. Obviously, having to go to the hospital for minor injuries is still a big deal. I hope that Universal is doing something to make it up to all of the people involved here. But man. That lamppost right there with all of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8 spotlights on it. That is they're lucky someone
dangerous.
wasn't more seriously hurt. Okay. Let's get away from the Disneyland one, except that
I
we
just
are
wanted to
talking about
update.
injuries.
I just wanted to update just real fast. We did note also to the speaker incident that just took place right here.
Yeah.
It looks like Disney is implementing preventative measures in order to prevent this from happening again by taking some of their older lampposts from around the park and actually severing them, it looks like temporarily, in order to retrofit them and seemingly put back into their place. We'll see how that goes. With the trams, these things were going to be retired anyway. I'm not saying that these specific trams are at blame here, but perhaps the electric vehicles, I don't know, they might be lighter, they might be easier to navigate, who knows, but these will be retired at the end of this season, as well as these lampposts right here. So these things are it's unfortunate that these things couldn't occur sooner, or something done to prevent this from happening. But
as in the repairs couldn't. It's a shame the repairs couldn't have happened sooner, right?
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a shame that these things couldn't have been prevented.
Right.
Is what I'm ultimately saying. But it's quite unfortunate. It is so critical that people be trained properly. That these drivers negotiate these turns to the best of their abilities, and that maintenance takes note about what's going wrong before it does go wrong.
Right. Now, the thing that I would add here, obviously the Disney parks are going to be a little bit uglier as they get rid of those beautiful lampposts. But if they're going to hurt somebody, they don't belong in the park. With the Universal Studios Tram Tour, I see a lot of things that are building into this incident. Obviously, difficult to pilot those vehicles. It sounds like there was a brakes issue. That's something that I think they're probably going to solve. If Universal does not solve this, if we get a lot more indications that there are problems here, if they don't fix it, then Universal, I think, has dropped the ball here, and they obviously need to make sure this never happens again. They also get to say that they're going to be decommissioning these vehicles regardless. Sounds like the guardrail. I hope that people didn't fall over a guardrail into a dangerous area here. It sounds like everybody's okay, so at least that's a relief. Universal needs to do something about this to make sure it never happens again. But I don't know. Guys, are you I'm going to leave it to you. Do you have any additional comments before we wrap this up? Let's start with Wizard, because you are the guest here, and also tell people where they can find you.
Oh yes, all right. So well, I got word from a couple of friends that yes, yesterday, well, the day after it happened, Tram was open. And they're taking a different route. Basically, they're hitting all the same points, but taking a different route, and they're quickly working on that road, that curve area, to make some improvements to it as of yesterday and today. So we'll see what improvements they do there. They can obviously fix the rail, but maybe kind of do some adjustments to the turn itself. But then, and you can find me at Theme Park Wizard on YouTube. And also, you can check out my Patreon if you want, patreon.com/club722 for permanent information.
Awesome. Make sure you send me that link and we'll put it in the description.
You know, it's interesting. These trams don't actually feature seatbelts. Now, Universal has taken a very clear stance on their attractions going forward, that they want as much restraint as possible, it would seem, in order to, I recall to mind, Secret Life of Pets, for example, this kind of slow moving mover attraction, and how it's so very cramped because they want to keep you in there as much as possible. But it's kind of crazy because in the same park you have the tram where it has no seatbelts whatsoever. Now, obviously, those are due to capacity reasons and a couple of other reasons. But is it time to actually feature seatbelts? I'm not sure. Perhaps that's a conversation Universal's having right now.
Oh my! Well, that's a drag for guests. I gotta say, that's one of the biggest bummers. If you go on a theme park ride like this, I like having my kids underarm there. I got little kids; they're very cute. They like to get up all in your space there. But maybe on a hot, sweaty day, it's time for a little space. Daddy is sweaty right now, kids. Give him his space. All right. Well. Enough of that. Thank you so much for being here, Theme Park Wizard. Everybody go check out his channel, and also, of course, the channel that Vash and Wizard do together, that being the Theme Park Universe podcast. We'll link that in the description down below. Comment, let us know what are your thoughts about this incident. Is this something that is just completely unacceptable, that Universal should have never allowed it to happen? Of course it is. Or is this something that's understandable, and after a long history of doing these tram tours, eventually something like this was going to happen? It's still unacceptable, but we want to throw it to the comment section down below. Of course, like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.